And good morning. Welcome to this devotion at last in my garden. I'm so happy that winter is going away and summer is coming in its place. I'm so happy that my daughter's being brave. I'm so happy that my son's gotten engaged. I'm so happy that my wife is in KZN. I'm really in a good place at the moment. And driving to work the other morning, I saw these people rummaging through the garbage. And just like that, my happy spring day is gone. I mean, when you see people like this, what do? A guy that I work with was telling us that he chases them away from his garbage. But that can't be the right thing to do. So what do? What do we do about this? And it's not just the garbage guys. It's about this chasm, this gulf between the rich and the poor, between the haves and the have-nots. There's this book in the Bible that is a book of wise sayings. It's named the Book of Proverbs, and it was written mostly by King Solomon. And in chapter 22, there's this verse that's so ambiguous you cannot help but stop and pause and stare. And the verse goes like this: Rich and poor have this in common. The Lord is the maker of them all. I mean, is the Bible saying that God made everyone rich or poor? Or is the Bible saying that God made the rich and the poor poor? If God made you and I rich, why would that be? I don't believe that we are rich with the expectation that we are supposed to stay entertained and comfortable. I don't believe that for a moment. And the same can be said for the poor. Why are the poor made poor? One of the biggest problems we face in society today is this gap between the rich and the poor. And I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know how to bridge this gap. I don't know what the answer is to bridge the gap. I do know that God has a purpose in mind for each of us to bridge this gap. I do know that when I see scavengers rummaging through the garbage, it breaks my heart. But what breaks your heart? And have you ever tried just pausing over what breaks your heart and just heading in that direction of what breaks your heart? Have you ever considered that your heart is broken by the Holy Spirit trying to tell you something? There are so many chasms in our society. There's this chasm between the rich and the poor that is one big problem, as I said. There's that chasm between cultures, the different races, different religions, different sexes, different sexual orientations, and the list just goes on and on. And I don't know what the answer is to bridge all these chasms, but I do know who the answer is going to come from. I know that Jesus bridged the chasm caused by our sin, and the chasm between us and God that we created by our sin, that Jesus came onto this earth about 2,000 years ago and chose to be born and raised amongst the poor. And then Jesus brings this message of love and showed us all the ultimate love by dying on the cross, rising from the dead, and ascending up into heaven. And in heaven, Jesus is our mediator with God. Jesus is the bridge by which you and I, by which we are brought into a relationship with God. I don't know about you, but the gaps between people in society, it breaks my heart, and I don't know what the answer is. Well, what I do know is the rich and the poor have this in common: the Lord is the maker of them all. But the gap between God and humanity has already been resolved. And I hope that you know, and I so hope that you live by this. May your life be totally dependent on Jesus filling the gap between you and God. And may you come to realize that the gap is unearnable, that it is undeserved, and yet graciously presented to each of us. And may the Holy Spirit break your heart when you see all these gaps in society, and may the Holy Spirit give you the courage to run towards that gap and do something about it. Until we meet again, God bless.